The top path Mortar, the biggest one in BT6, and actually all of its previous tiers just got some really nice changes, and I'm very excited to try these guys out. So I'm gonna start this video in Sandbox because I wanted to show you guys why I'm saying these things. So we're gonna start off with the Shell Shock. This is the 302 Mortar, which now has a higher DPS rate, so the DPS effect lasts for a lot longer, and it's actually a little bit cheaper. So if you send in something like a Rainbow, for example, if I can, I didn't exactly hit it, but look at what's happening. The DPS effect now lasts for so long that it actually pops it in its entirety. And with these new changes, what is going to happen to a ceramic balloon? Well, look at what is happening. It is leaving it to blue balloons, and that is, you might say, well, that's really good, but it's only 2 damage off. Well, not exactly correct, because we can add the 2 damage by buying the AMD and the Berserker Brew. Now, if I send in a ceramic balloon, let me just target it like this. I think that was a good shot. It is going to, look at this thing. It is fully popping ceramics, guys. So this is a $3,500 tower that is able to fully pop ceramic balloons. So this is what I'm excited about, because this is going to clean up everything before round 80. Alright, so let's move into an actual game, and I want to talk a little bit more in depth about this tower. So those are not the only changes that happen. So the entire top path got buffed. So for example, the big one is now a little bit more expensive, but at the same time there was a lot of bonus damage being added, especially to the biggest one, which is the 5th tier. So it adds a lot of extra damage versus ceramics, and this is, by the way, the 5XX, so it doesn't matter which crosspath you use. But if you use the 502, look at the bottom, the DPS actually got increased onto this one from 50 to 60, and that is a 20% increase as well. But I think it would be a little bit unfair if we only talked about the positives and not just gave, you guys the full story. Let me actually talk to you guys about what the problems with this tower are, and you guys probably know some of them. So for example, if you're going for the bottom crosspath, you are lacking attack speed. So that means that you're probably going to need to get some extra attack speed, either using Striker Jones or just straight up like an Alchemist in a village, or maybe even an Overclock. And number 2 is that even though it can one-shot ceramics, that thing gets a little bit technical. So the total amount of damage that this thing can do, the new 302 Mortar, is 16, and it gets distributed like this. You get 3 damage from the main attack, and you get +1 damage from the secondary attack. So that's 4, and then you get 12 damage from the Burning Stuff DPS, which all in all comes out to be 16. Now the problem is that it's sometimes a little bit difficult for you to get the primary and the secondary explosion onto a balloon, because you're probably going to need to be very precise, and that's just not something that's really easily doable in an actual game. We are going to have some black balloons. I think it was around 23 if I'm not mistaken, so we should be fine onto this one. Although, oh my god, that's a, yes, good snipe, very good snipe. Alright, so let's use Quincy's level 3 ability for these guys so that we can pop the black balloon layer, and then if I have the Mortar like this, it should be fine in general, right? Yes, there we go. Or is that it? Yes, it is. Okay, this Mortar actually is very annoying. Look at this round 32, we're losing to the early ones. I mean, this thing does so much damage, and it loses just to the most obscene balloons, which is like round 32. You're not supposed to be losing to 32, but the game wouldn't be too fair if everything is just super good, right? So yeah, let's try and survive through this. I'm just gonna play it slowly just because I don't know exactly what's happening, and these are kind of big balloons that are making it on the other side, right? Let's just kind of move the explosion a little bit lower. Yes, and once you get the DPS, that's the new change, guys. The DPS is super strong. It does 12 damage. You know how much 12 damage is, especially for a tower that costs like $3,500, guys. That's the thing with this tower. When I say $3,500, that's even on hard mode. So this is pretty much in the category of the new Bloon Dissolver for you guys to check this one out, the 320. It's about the same amount of cash. And again, it's just Ninja Kiwi doing the thing where they are just shifting towers in and out of the meta, and I think it's working. Also, the Mortar, by the way, scales a little bit better than the Bloon Dissolver. Alright, let me use actually Quincy's level 3 ability, because there's a lot of black balloons, and yeah, I think that we should go for the, this is like an unusual choice probably this early on, but I think that we should go for the jungle drums actually, just because we're lacking so much attack speed. I think we're gonna be fine versus the camos. And yes, look at this tower go, bam, and that is, I mean, it depends on whether or not it has the elk buff, but it's almost one-shotting these guys. That's insane. The lack of attack speed in this tower is actually a little bit annoying. Yeah, we have like these pinks and these yellows making it all the way to the other side, and it's really, yeah, look at this thing. That was like a full black balloon that made it all the way through. So what are you supposed to do? Maybe like buy like a super cheap tower that's gonna clean these zebras out and make sure that we don't get, well, at least just not like zebras, right? I think we'll deal with everything else pretty much. So let's have the wildfire like this. I'm even gonna get the guided magic so it lasts a little bit longer. We don't need the DPS. And then let's see if this is gonna make any difference. I think it is. I think it's making all the difference actually. Yes, and look at these ceramics. Oh, if I can hit it, that is, oh my god, yeah, we hit that one in the back, and it should, yes, the one in the back completely burned off. That's really nice. Let me just follow along. I think I'm even gonna use Quincy's level 3 ability, because I think we did get the level which gives him extra damage to Moab class balloons. Yeah, there we go, it's level 8, and we did, oh my god, we actually popped the Moab. Alright, so that should be pretty much GG, right, because of the new DPS. Yes, there we go. To be fair, we are playing on a little bit of a longer map, so if you're, not microing well, or I guess if you're playing on a short map, you're just gonna need to buy some other towers. But I'm really trying to get a hold of the big one as soon as possible, and once you get that tower, I feel like the game just becomes a lot easier. So let me just get the level 3 abilities. Is this gonna be enough versus these guys? It is, but I don't like it. I actually think that this is probably one of the reasons why we shouldn't be going for the big one now. We should probably get some camo because we're gonna have some camos on 45. So let's actually go like this, and just like that, the money is there. So yeah, this is kind of getting expensive, right? It's about 10% more expensive than previously. Let's get the big one. The explosion is also a little bit bigger, which is really nice. And yeah, this is probably the time when we should go on autopilot with this thing. So yeah, the bigger the explosion rate is, just becomes a lot bigger. The DPS is also a lot stronger. And now we've graduated from the shell shock into basically, well, the big one. So this guy's gonna give us a lot of extra damage versus mob class balloons. It's gonna be a lot better than previously. So I'm just wondering if I can just leave it attacking like this and if it's gonna be fine. And it's probably not gonna be, is it? Oh, it actually, oh my god, it actually is. All right, so look at this improved burning stuff DPS. I mean, that's really cool, right? Oh, we're probably gonna need to, yeah, that's not gonna work always though. Some more mobs incoming in 52. Let me watch those guys. So I'm just wondering if I'm just gonna need to move this tower a lot or no. And so far the answer is looking like it's gonna be no, but this is obviously not gonna be possible in every map in BT6, so you're probably gonna have to micro it a little bit. And actually I will be microing this thing a little bit more just because I want to make sure we get all these balloons. Yeah, one of the most annoying things about this tower is probably the lack of attack speed, so I'm just gonna try and fix this thing as soon as possible with the overclock. We're gonna have around 54, so a bunch of ceramics, a bunch of mobs, and then we are really close to the overclock. So let me just micro this thing like this. Let me just follow along this mob. That's the first one. Let me move it back for the second one by the overclock because we did just get the money, and just keep following along this mob. And I think once we get the overclock cooldown, we should be able to leave this tower in place, right? Yeah, alright, so we just got the overclock cooldown, so let's use the overclock and let's see. Yes, that's the attack speed that we need. This is, by the way, Striker Jones. So if you don't bring Striker Jones, then yeah, you can probably, you know, fix this with an overclock or something like that. I feel like if we optimize things a little bit too much, it's really not going to be representative. We're not going to be able to feel what these new changes are doing to a tower. But this thing seems to be, oh, the overclock is parted, so let me just move along these mob class balloons. Yeah, it's popping BFBs, no problem. To be fair, I think it was able to pop BFBs by itself previously, so not exactly concerned about that one. Let me get the MIB now so we can pop these zebras finally. And let me follow along these 45 guys. Oh my god, these 45 mobs are gonna be an issue, aren't they? Yes, as usual, guys, as usual. Alright, 63, we should have no issues versus, yes, there we go. Alright, it's just melting the small balloons. Alright, so playing with the 302 and the 402 Mortar in this entire game, I realized two things. Number one is how important Striker Jones is to like this entire tower and this entire path. So there are a lot of black balloons, a lot of zebras, especially because they come from, you know, from rainbows and from ceramics, like always. So you cannot really do anything about it besides just be ready for them. And so you're either popping them with another tower, or you're just straight up, you know, buying something like an MIB village, or you have Striker Jones. And that's thing number one, how dependent this tower is on Striker Jones, right? But number two is that Ninja Kiwi did give us a little bit of a premium with this tower, is what I'm realizing, because the price for this tower so far, and I know that I have to overclock, but the price for this tower so far, like just a standalone tower, is $11,000. And I've been trying to think, what's an $11,000 tower that can do all of these things? Because even if we don't have the overclock, like this thing is super strong by itself. And so I'm thinking, what is an $11,000 tower that we can just buy, or maybe just call it an $11,000 setup that is able to basically, I think it's going to defeat free play by itself, and it's pretty much going to go into free play a couple of rounds by itself, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I feel like there's a little bit of a micro premium by Ninja Kiwi, if you can call it like that, because you have to micro this tower in order for, you know, to get the maximum amount of damage. So I feel like, yeah, that's the price to damage ratio, I guess, if you call it something like that. So just move it like this. By the way, this is an annoying round because it's a lot of RB and actually 5 BFBs behind each other. Just go like this, and that should be, yes, that's absolutely fine. We're gonna destroy 78 and 79, no problem. And during 79 we should have the money for, yes, there we go. All right, so the biggest one, we do have the money for this thing. Let's just buy it. Let's just finally get this thing over with, because this biggest one is such an important tower to this entire round. But I also want to see the DPS, because guys, when these stronger balloons come in, like these super ramped up Moab class balloons, this thing is gonna be eating them up in like 3 shots, and I'm not even kidding about that. Also, you might be noticing there's a little bit of a stun effect that this 502 apply. Well, actually it's just the biggest one in general. It applies a stun effect to mob class balloons. So that's nice because it keeps them a little bit longer in its range so they can attack them more. And this obviously works really well with extra attack speed, so that's the melee crosspath. But at the same time, if you go for the melee crosspath, you're not getting this. You're not getting the burning stuff. You're not getting, you know, these ceramics just getting eaten up in a couple of shots. This is insane. While we're at it, let's just play off of the extra attack speed. So I'm going to get the call to arms right now so that we can have an ability to use. And I think we're just going to be buying some slows, right? We haven't bought the Sabo in a long time, so let's go for a Sabo in this game. And if I can find a spawn for Relentless Glue inside the range of the Oh, that's not a good spot. Alright, I think we're gonna take it anyways. Okay, let's just place it like this. It's gonna be relentless good. So 0 to 4 in this guy. Let's move the biggest one actually in a little bit of a better spot. Maybe like somewhere in the middle. What's gonna be a good spot? Because this guy's explosion radius is huge. But I think only the main explosion, the center explosion part, is the one that applies the DPS and not the secondary one, I think. So probably just have it like this and then just move it around. I guess we're not safe from micro, guys. You know, you think you get the biggest one and you think this because it has this explosion radius, you're like safe to just leave it in one spot. No, you're still gonna have to do a little bit of the work by yourself, but that's completely fine because, well, this is actually a really fun tower. I haven't used this tower in a very long time. Alright, so DTs, we should be fine versus DTs. Can you set these guys on fire? You can, and then the DPS is gonna eat them up, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, so as long as we keep the abilities, right, so something maybe like the Sabo, we keep it up for a 95, yeah, we should be able to eat up that round as well. And by the way, this was 91 and a bunch of BFBs. We didn't need to see it because of the burning stuff. Alright, so 93, we're gonna have a couple more DTs. Let me make sure I overclock so we can get the hits onto all of them. And yes, with the burning stuff, this should, oh my god, it's not even close. Oh my god, what is gonna be happening to 95 is my question. Yeah, 95 is gonna be melting, isn't it? Alright, so let's watch 94. 94 is an important one because it is one of those big ones. So let's just make sure we're attacking this spot, maybe a little bit lower actually on the mortar. Let me do the overclock, and I think I'm gonna be using the call to arms. Yeah, let's just stun these guys in place, keep them in place a little bit longer, get some of the center explosion damage as well, because those got buff. We got some extra damage versus mob and ceramics with the center explosion, not the burning stuff but the explosion itself. So that's really nice. Let's make sure we get some use out of it as well. And guys, this round is melting. Like, this round is going nowhere. It just appeared like this and it barely made it even like to Quincy, I think. Yeah, that's crazy. This thing does a lot of damage. Alright, so 95, this is a really important round because DTs are fast. Now we don't have attack speed, so we fixed our attack speed problem with the overclock and with the call to arms, but we want to slow the DTs down as well. So as soon as these guys appear, there we go. Let's overclock. Let's use the Sabo as early as possible, and then I'm gonna save the call to arms for the end of this round because the Sabo doesn't exactly last as long as the DTs are coming out. Yeah, there we go. So DTs are still coming out. The Sabo is out, so let's use the call to arms now, and that should be it with 95. There we go. Alright, 96 might be a little bit more annoying than 94 actually, because 94 wasn't even close, but 96, yeah, it's a little bit more annoying. A lot more RB actually, and a lot more free fight mobs. Once we've dealt with the small balloons, move on to the ZMG. So I'm gonna call to arms actually. This one I don't think it matters that much. We should get the cooldown back for 98. And actually, this is really important round, this one and round 100, because we did get some extra burning stuff, and the burning stuff is the way that this tower does damage to mob class balloons, right? And so these are really beefy balloons, and then the bad on 100 is gonna be annoying as well. So let's see how much of a difference the new burning stuff makes versus a bad balloon and versus these guys. Yeah, we're popping these guys, no problem. Let me make sure I just move the attack spot like here towards the bottom and the left side a little bit more, and that should be fine, right? Yes, there we go. All right, so 98. Let me use the call to arms on this one. Actually, I want to use the call to arms because I want to get it back for 99 and hopefully around 100. So let's try and do as much damage as possible now, and let's just move it like here towards the right side a little bit. Then we're gonna move it towards the left side. This is a really good map for the mortar, by the way, especially this guy, the biggest one, right? I think I'm gonna try and save the Sabo for 99, the 45 DETs. We get the overclock back, so make sure. Oh, that's a full ceramic, which we do get, and now this is the time in which we need the DPS to go to town onto the ceramics actor. So let me try and move this guy a little bit forward to make sure we stay ahead of the curve, guy. That's the most important thing with this one. And yes, the explosion is too strong, guys, and the DPS also as well. Look at this burning stuff. It doesn't even care what these ceramics. These are super ramped up ceramics. It doesn't even matter. All right, so we managed to save the Sabo, which is really important. Let me just use the Sabo right now, and hopefully this is gonna be enough versus 45 DTs because we did keep the call to arms up, and now I'm gonna need the burning stuff to just show me that it's good versus these DTs, and it is. It's popping all of them. Let's just move it to the front now. Is it gonna burn the last one as well? Yes, it does. All right, that's really cool. Yes, that's amazing. All right, so let's use the overclock. Let's use the call to arms. Do we have the one? Yes, we do. Homeland. Oh no, I used it actually. That was. Do we restart this one? Let's see how we do it, and if not, we're gonna buy the Homeland, and then we're gonna use the ability. You know what? Actually, this is not looking that good, right? Versus the bad balloon. I mean, I'm just watching the damage counter, and I think we should restart this one. Yeah, the damage versus bads and just like beefy mob class balloons is really not there with this tower. So it's kind of good versus, I guess, normal ramped up ZMGs, but bads, no, this is a no-go. All right, let's restart this one. All right, let me buy the Homeland, and then I'm gonna use the Homeland in combination with Quincy and his level 3 ability. Maybe we can get Quincy to do a little bit of extra work, right? So let's go like, this is not gonna be enough. This is like a cope 320 Alchemist, but let's just start with it and let's see how we do. All right, so overclock first, and then when the bad gets in range of Quincy and when Quincy starts attacking, I think I'm gonna go all out. So I think this is just to wait for a second. Yes, now is the time. All right, so let's move the mortar. Let's see how much damage we can do. So 1846. Maybe it's been a little bit less actually since we started, but let's actually see how much damage we can do. So I kind of forgot Quincy's level 3 ability, but there we go, we got it out. And is this better than last time is my question. I think it might be a little bit better, but is it enough? Not exactly sure. We're gonna get a second round actually of the homeland. We can remove this thing. Look at the money, 1,000. I didn't plan for this thing. I completely forgot that you could remove this thing because it wasn't necessary during this entire run. But let's use the second round of the homeland with the level 3 Quincy ability. We did get the pop, and now we get the Sabo, and that should be, yes, there we go, that should be it about this one. All right, so good pops onto the mortar, almost 1.9 million. Quincy getting a little bit of, oh, look at this, that's a nice even number right there. But yeah, this mortar, guys, it's a really cool one. Obviously requires a lot of micro and just, you know, you working it, but these changes are really nice. So hope it sees a little bit more use in general, like in BT6. But that's gonna be it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I'm gonna see you all in the next one.